Yes, my friends, all signs point to this week being packed with news, and we're going to have a lot to talk about. You already know, Howie Roseman is a top-tier general manager, a true strategist who makes the best decisions like no one else in the NFL. And our Philadelphia Eagles have an important matter to settle before August begins, something that could directly shape the course of the upcoming season. Honestly, I'm counting down the hours to see the Eagles flying high, commanding respect, and proving once again why we remain one of the most feared teams in the league. If you believe we're heading back to the Super Bowl, you know what to do. Hit that like button hard, and let's all say it together. Go Birds! In Howie we trust. After the preseason opener against Cincinnati, one of the clearest takeaways was exactly why the Eagles moved for cornerback Ja'Cory Bennett. That trade wasn't random, it was about insurance and competition, and the first game confirmed why. Keely Ringo, lined up against Jamar Chase, got exposed. Chase made him look like burnt toast on one route and took him to the house. Adoree Jackson didn't fare much better on the opposite side. The organization clearly wasn't fully confident in either player before the game, and their performance only reinforced those concerns. Ringo gave up 4 catches on 4 targets for 79 yards and a touchdown, posting a perfect passer rating allowed of 158.3 in just 16 coverage snaps. Jackson gave up 4 catches on 5 targets for 45 yards and a rating of 104.2 in the same number of snaps. For a team with championship aspirations, that's not going to cut it. And if you look ahead at the schedule, the challenge doesn't get any easier. Week 1 it's CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Week 2 you're facing Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Then Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua with the Rams, Mike Evans with the Bucks, Cortland Sutton in Denver, Malik Neighbors twice with the Giants, Justin Jefferson with the Vikings, Amon-Ra St. Brown with the Lions, the list goes on. This is the reality for whoever wins the job opposite rookie standout Quinyon Mitchell. That's why the Bennett move matters. He's got 4.30 speed, was excellent as a rookie with the Raiders, and last season didn't allow a single touchdown in coverage. Against Chase, the same receiver who roasted Ringo, Bennett held him to 3 catches for just 16 yards. If he can stay healthy after battling hamstring and shoulder issues his first 2 seasons, he could absolutely push for that starting role. The coaching staff also has flexibility with Cooper DeJean playing inside and at safety, a role that lets him blitz, match up with tight ends, and be used like a hybrid linebacker. That versatility means they can look for the best possible outside duo, and Bennett is getting a month to prove he belongs there. While corner depth is under the microscope, another talking point is Tanner McKee. Going into the preseason, there was already a belief he was the best backup quarterback in the NFL, and he backed it up again against Cincinnati starters. He threw for 253 yards and 3 total touchdowns, posting a 135.3 passer rating. And this isn't just preseason hype. He's shown poise and production in regular season games, including strong performances last year against the Cowboys and Giants starters. At 6 feet 6 inches, he delivers with timing, touch, and anticipation, and isn't afraid to give his receivers a chance on contested balls, as seen with multiple 50-50 throws to Johnny Wilson in this game. His trade value? It might have jumped to a first-round pick. In a league desperate for quarterbacks, McKee could start for several teams right now: the Colts, Jets, Browns, Giants, Cardinals, and more. But for the Eagles, having him behind Jalen Hurts is a luxury that could keep the season alive if Hurts missed time. And then there's Jaylen Carter. Back from a shoulder injury that kept him out of early camp, Carter looked unblockable in Saturday's practice. He strip-sacked Hurts, batted down a pass at the line, and dominated one-on-ones against what's still arguably the league's best offensive line. Last season, Carter was second-team All-Pro, ranking top 5 in almost every major category for defensive tackles, sacks, pressures, QB hits, pass breakups, forced fumbles, run stops. He was a huge factor in the divisional round win over the Rams, and now he's adding leadership to his game, fired up on the sideline whenever teammates make plays. The question now is, with Bennett competing for a starting job, McKee's value skyrocketing, and Carter looking like a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, where should the Eagles focus their next move? Do they trust the current cornerback group to develop, or is another addition still necessary before week 1? What's your take on that? One reason this conversation about the secondary is so pressing is because the rest of the roster feels so complete. On offense, the depth is enviable, multiple proven weapons at wide receiver, a strong stable of running backs, and an offensive line that remains one of the league's gold standards. That line, anchored by veterans and boosted by young talent, not only protects Jalen Hurts but also gives the Eagles the flexibility to impose their will in the run game. And yet, none of that matters if opposing quarterbacks can consistently find mismatches against an unsteady outside corner. That's why the Jacorian Bennett trade feels less like a minor preseason tweak and more like a potential pivot point for the defense. Vic Fangio's scheme demands corners who can win on an island, allowing the rest of the defense to disguise looks, bring pressure, and control the middle of the field. Bennett's rookie tape from Las Vegas shows he can mirror elite route runners and recover when beaten, traits Ringo and Jackson are still working to develop. If Bennett stays healthy through camp, there's every reason to think he'll at least split time with Ringo early in the season, and maybe take over that spot entirely. Tanner McKee's situation is another intriguing subplot. If the front office truly values him at a first-round pick, then Howie Roseman holds one of the league's most unique trade chips. Quarterbacks with his size, arm talent, and proven poise are rare, and with injuries inevitable across the league, the phone could ring at any time. For now, the Eagles appear content to keep him. After all, having one of the NFL's best insurance policies behind Hurts is a competitive advantage that most contenders can't match. But make no mistake, the front office will listen if the offer is right, and the buzz around Jaylen Carter is only growing. His blend of size, quickness, and violent hands makes him a nightmare for guards and centers, and he's entering that sweet spot of a young player's career where technique begins to catch up to raw talent. His knack for batting passes, his strip sack ability, and his relentless motor in one-on-one drills are proof that he can take over games without necessarily filling the stat sheet every week. More importantly, his visible leadership on the sidelines, celebrating teammates' plays, staying engaged when not on the field, is exactly the kind of presence a locker room feeds off. As camp continues, the coaching staff will keep a close eye on the secondary's chemistry, McKee's continued development, and Carter's conditioning and health. The next 2 preseason games are more than tune-ups. They're auditions for starting roles, opportunities to see who responds to pressure and who folds under it. For a team with legitimate Super Bowl ambitions, every rep matters. So, what do you think? Should the Eagles stick with the current group at corner and trust the young players to grow into the role? Or should they go out and make one more move before the season opener? And if a team comes calling with a first-rounder for Tanner McKee, do you think it would keep him as the ultimate backup weapon? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want every update, every insider detail, and the kind of breakdowns you can't get anywhere else, make sure you're subscribed, hit that like button, and click the video that's on your screen right now. All the latest Eagles news, first, right here. And looking ahead, this next stretch of camp and preseason could be the defining period for some of these roster battles. For Kelee Ringo, every snap against high-end competition is an opportunity to prove he can refine his footwork, anticipate routes better, and use that 6-foot frame and 4.43 speed to his advantage. The physical tools are undeniable, but the NFL is filled with great athletes. It's the mental processing, the ability to read the quarterback and anticipate breaks, that will determine if he can stick as a starter in Vic Fangio's defense. Adoree Jackson is in a similar spot. His experience is a plus, and he's had moments where his instincts and quickness shine. But if he can't consistently win outside, the coaching staff might need to lean on Bennett sooner than expected. And Bennett isn't just a depth piece. The numbers from his rookie season show he can be a lockdown